Okay, hello. Today we're going going up north to the islands. And 99.9% of the time that means Put in Bay, but not for us because Passenger and I don't like crowds. And beautiful day like this on a weekend in the summer, Put in Bay is going to be packed with boaters and other pilots and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, but neither of us really like crowds. So we're going to Kelley's Island, which is the polar opposite of Put in Bay. It's very, very laid back. Passenger today is daughter Erica, formerly known as co-pilot Egg. And while I'm programming the GPS, she can explain how she got the nickname Egg.
Oh.
Speak up.
I'm trying. Is this the new David Clark? Okay.
No.
In 6th grade, because my initials are EG until 7 days from now. So my friends just called me Egg.
Yeah, that's how they thought Egg was spelled. Because
it was 6th grade.
at public schools. So. All right, we're headed to 89 Delta, so I'm just going to hover over that because I couldn't remember the 89 Delta until I looked it up on the map. And I'm going to do a direct to Kelley's Island, Florida. No, that can't mean Florida because there's Kelley's Island, Ohio. I don't know what the FL means, but it is 104 miles. That's definitely not Florida, so there's our direct to. Really easy flight. No airspace to worry about or anything like that. Weather's gorgeous, as previously mentioned. Let's see, I think we're a straight shot up with no special use airspace whatsoever except for Port Columbus, which we just stay off to the western edge of that. That's really easy. Easy.
November 3, November Mike, turn right on course.
Okay, all right. So we're at 76 on the oil. It's a little bit chilly today. Well, it's 61 degrees, which is chilly for August. So we got a long wait until the oil heats up. They're landing and departing runway 22, so I won't have to ask that special favor, but that also means that there's not as much time for the oil to warm up. So, we are left with nothing to do but wait, and pre-flight tufts, which I've already done. And we're ready to go. Now I can set the altitude. That's going to be right around there. Let's see if we have weather yet. Map. No. Weather, not yet. Still wait. Oh, that's 89 Delta. We got to go back to recent. ATR. Weather, there it is. Altimeter 3009. I was at 3010. I was awful close. There we go. Now perfect winds 240 at 5, which is very light. Clouds broken at 4900, which is actually not true. There's really no clouds up there at all, so that's somewhat old. Those aren't broken. Broken means almost a solid overcast, but with some gaps, and those are definitely not broken. So the altimeter may be wrong also. I don't know how often this updates. But anyway, there we go. So we have a little bit of pre-takeoff stuff to do. Turn you guys back on if anything interesting happens on the way down to the runway or just before takeoff. Okay, run up complete. Doing our final check of the canopy. Canopy is latched. Doing our final check of the make sure the fuel pump fuse is in. We have a direction and course all set. Altimeter is set. Everything's ready to go. Free and clear. We got Boogle's big beefy thighs on my daughter out of the way.
Stop it.
Okay. Well, we're ready to go. So over to tower and give him a call and we'll be out of here. Full tower, experimental 284 Delta Golf, ready for takeoff runway 22 at Alpha 1, departing VFR northbound.
November 284 Delta Golf, Bolton Tower, turn right on course, runway 22, clear for takeoff. Personnel right side of the runway, about 1,000 feet down.
Okay, clear for takeoff, runway 22 with the right turnout. Look out for the folks on the right side for Delta Golf. Oh, they're going to do banner tow.
Look at the bird.
Killdeers. I only ever see killdeers at the airport. Nowhere else. It's really weird. I think they're setting up to do banner tow.
Oh.
They set up the banner between the taxiway and the runway.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll just go off here and just get clear. This is plenty wide as a runway. I only need a quarter of this runway, so we'll get way over here just to give them plenty of clearance, and they'll know we're watching out for them. Plus, we'll be in the air well before we get to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't take that long to take off.
Never even saw us. Props are looking good. That's an inside joke. For YouTube, that's an inside joke. I had a friend that was just the ultimate city girl. Was actually agoraphobic, didn't trust the country at all, and took her and her family out camping at my dad's farm, and we no sooner get there and she kind of looks around, looks at my dad, says, "Props are looking good." And I said, Brandy, point to what you think is a crop. And she didn't know what crops were. I was just being my normal facetious, well, that's a nice way of saying jerk. I was just being a jerk.
The corn does look good though.
It is a beautiful day too, look at that. Hardly any haze between us and the horizon. That's a clear day. Okay, so here we go, climbing out. And I guess I'll go ahead and turn on the autopilot so we can chit-chat. I'm going to go in track mode at first. Actually, my course line is going to keep me outside of the Class C at Ohio State, so I don't really need to use the track line. But I'm going to reset my direct to. And we're going to go nav, autopilot. And we're going to go, let's go to about 3,500, so altitude, 3,500, and we want to go up. So there is autopilot taking vertical speed, 600 foot per minute to the selected altitude and flying GPS nav course. Hands off. There we go. Erica at one point flew with me quite a bit. She's been flying since she was a lap baby. She wasn't aware of it at the time, which is good because I was pretty low time back then and did a lot of crazy things. So nothing frightens her in an airplane, except maybe rest stops not being available. But that happens in the car. And she had at one point decided she wanted to learn to fly, but then she got busy with, well, what is it you do?
Nurse.
You're a nurse. So why don't you tell YouTube how you got interested in nursing?
I don't remember.
Well, they had the Mount Carmel Hospital, which is a big hospital system around here, and also has a nursing college. Had these things called Adventures in Healthcare.
Camp Mount Carmel.
Huh?
It was Camp Mount Carmel.
Camp Mount Carmel, Adventures in Healthcare. It had a colon. So do most of the people she works on, but not all, because sometimes they've been recently removed. So I think she did that for 2 or 3 years, and it was every day. They would do a different part of medicine. They would visit the pharmacy, they would visit the nurses, and all this stuff, and she liked the nursing part.
Holding short runway 22, ready for takeoff.
And I think you got to do an overnight,
Yeah,
and that was your first experience with being trapped in an elevator, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was cool. I still don't go on the elevator at the school. No, I feel like I knew I wanted to be a nurse way before that, but that kind of solidified it. Like, I can't remember a time that I didn't want to be a nurse.
I do remember a time when you wanted to quit nursing school.
Oh, that was
I think it was after your second year. After your second year, you were ready to quit. And we started looking for something else for you to do, and I think it was,
DeVry.
I wanted you to do something that would bring you a job, not something that's just, soft science or whatever, a real job. But she, part of her problem was she'd had an instructor that she didn't get along with, or vice versa, or both. They're not mutually exclusive, but I think it was more on the instructor. And wasn't she better the next year when you went back?
Yeah, she liked me then.
Yeah, so it's a good thing she kept going. And now she has a job, and
Mount Carmel East.
she's what they call, is it step down?
Vascular Intermediate Care Unit.
Yeah, now put that in English for the people that don't know what that means, like me.
So vascular would be like surgery on your vessels. Well,
Okay.
shut up. Let me explain it. So we get like the carotid, which is your neck vein. Stop it. They get those just scooped out, all the plaques scooped out, or if they like need amputations. But we're also a step down, so we don't always have vascular patients. So we take patients who are like a little bit too sick to go home, but not sick enough to be in the ICU, and not sick enough or not well enough to be on like a general med floor.
So you're in what they would call post-op. You're not in the operating room.
No.
Although I know you've seen surgeries done, because I remember how excited you were about it, that you really liked it. But I think this is kind of like an entry-level job, right? Because you had no experience.
Yeah.
But within like a year, you're allowed to start looking for other things.
Yep.
And we know what you want to do, right?
Children's or pediatric or maternity.
Yeah, I think everybody wants that. But that'd be a good night shift. She likes the night shift. She was always a vampire, and the night shift works out well for her. Why is that?
Because I like to sleep during the day, and sometimes the patients sleep. But there's sundowners, which is where dementia patients go a little bit crazy at night.
I thought it was because the families weren't there and it was easier to work.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
So you just go in. I mean, I was with your grandpa when he was in the hospital, and they would just come barging in and say, I need to do this, I need to do that. And sometimes the family would have to leave, and, I didn't mind because I hated being in the hospital anyway.
Yeah.
But, so you get a lot of that? You just, like on rotation?
No, usually I just ask if they want to leave while I do anything, but I I prefer that their families stay the night sometimes.
Well, so when you go in there, you have like a rotation of patients. You get assigned patients. Is that for their stay, or just every day you guys have a huddle and like, well, you get that guy, and you get that guy,
Yeah.
and then there's the guy like me that was always picked last. Nobody's going to want that guy. But is it kind of like that?
No, so what they do is the charge nurses, who are like the head nurses, they'll look at all the patients, they'll look at their acuity, so how difficult of a patient they are, what they're in for. So usually we don't get more than 2 vasculars because they're higher acuity, you got to take care of them better. And it's like a math game. You have to make sure each person gets kind of the same number of patients and no high acuity patients. So acuity goes from 1 to 4, but if there are 4, they're not on our floor. So usually we don't go anything over like 12 or 15.
So if the charge nurse doesn't like you, you get all the difficult patients? But they mean difficult by medical complexity, or difficult in that, I hate you and I want to go home?
Both.
Okay.
Like, so a patient can just be here for like something little, but they're very needy.
Yeah,
So,
like I would be.
yeah.
I need an aspirin.
Yeah.
I'd be hitting that little button, bang, 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 bang.
Yep. So sometimes they get ranked higher even though they're not that sick, which is fine.
Do you always have the same charge nurse, or everybody on kind of different
they
shifting
rotate.
schedules? Yeah.
Right now on nights we have 3 charge nurses, and day shift has, they usually switch around a lot. Day shift has more than we do.
Well, you don't sit around much, because what did you just tell me about your Fitbit? You had 10,000 or 12,000 steps in one night?
Yeah.
Are you just pacing around because you're bored, or is there...
No, that's running back and forth. Well, and it's difficult because the steps reset at midnight, so sometimes it will only say I walk like 5,000, but it doesn't account for
So there's a flaw in the Fitbit software.
Yeah.
They didn't understand that people actually do things at night.
Yeah.
Huh, well, you should report that.
Well, I just wear it for the watch mostly. It's easier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's a $189 watch, but sure.
It also keeps track of my heart rate.
Oh, well, that's an issue for her, because she has, what do you call that?
Tachycardia.
Say it slowly.
Tachycardia.
Okay, tachycardia. And she's got like a little white mouse. Her little heart's going. Bip, 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 bip,
Yeah,
bip, 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 bip. She can't keep time with music because her heart's a staccato. Erica's heartbeat is like bongo drums.
Yeah.
Mine, on the other hand, beats about twice, 3 times a minute.
Oh,
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco.
you're like 70s.
Yeah, that's almost my age. That's my vitality age. This vitality system they had at work, you would enter, how much you eat a day, how much you sit around a day, how much you do it, and it would compare your actual calendar age, which as of yesterday, mine is 56. My vitality age would be about 78. And oddly enough, that doesn't get you discounts, it doesn't get you Medicare, it doesn't get you Social Security, it doesn't get you anything except open derision from a computer system. What the hell's the matter with you? Take some training, do this, do that, exercise, you lazy guy. But, I think it's a little lower now. I think I'm probably down into the late 60s since I stopped skydiving and base jumping.
They made us do that at work, and
Dangerous things like that.
They compared day shift and night shift, and they're like, night shift people, why don't you sleep that much? I'm like, because we sleep during the day, and people are allowed and need things. Like,
yeah, it's night. I've done night shift. It can be hard to sleep during the day because people don't really consider. Well, of course, I was in the military. I was in the Air Force, so they had no consideration at all. And at the time, I was at Beale Air Force Base working on the SR-71, and it's a gigantic base. So the drive from the flight line to the barracks was about 20 minutes. And at one point, I got out of the barracks. They were paying me to live off base, which was wonderful, but that was another half-hour drive into Marysville, Yuba City. So I got home, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, been up all night working, and probably a few hours before I went to work, and I get a phone call. You got to come back because it's drug testing day.
oh my God.
So I had to drive to the medical center, which is about 45 minutes from where I lived, and I'm tired, of course, and hangry, probably. And the thing that happens is then they cart you over to the hospital where you have to give a sample. And there's always this guy that knows he's guilty, but he thinks if he sits there long enough, they'll just give up and send us all home. Well, it doesn't work that way. So it'd be a half-day ordeal, and then you're back to work. And the other thing that would happen, this didn't happen so much in SAC, but when I got out of Beale and I went to Germany and Korea to work on F4s, we would have these exercises because, back then you still had the wall.
Yeah.
And you still don't have an actual armistice or peace with North Korea, so they still treated it like not necessarily a combat zone, but a high-risk zone. So we'd have these 2-week-long exercises of 12-hour days. So I would get home from mid-shift, The exercise would kick off about 7 a.m. Somebody come banging on my door. I had to go all the way back. And then it would be 12-hour days for 2 weeks. And they would end in the evening, and you would roll right back into your midnight shift.
Oh, God.
And this is very much the way life is like in the Navy, that they get 6 hours on, 6 hours off, but those 6 hours off is when they take their training, it's when they do their classes, it's when they do their own stuff, so it's basically always on. So the military could be like that, but for the most part it was 8-hour days, and it was actually a pretty good deal. But, and I got to fly a lot. I had enough money, they had flying schools, so a lot of my early flying was Northern California when I was at Beale, and then Korea, and then Germany. And I never did finish the license because every time you change instructors, you basically start over. So I finished it up once I separated and got home. But it ended up taking me 9 years to get my license. So I'm fully immersed in it. It wasn't one of those 10-day classes. It was a 10-year class. And anyway, Erica at one point decided she wanted to learn to fly, but got very, very busy with other things. Now she's getting married in a week, so she's going to be busy with that. But at some point, I will teach her to fly, but it won't be loggable time. You know, she works nights, so she has days. We'll start going places. I haven't asked her any of this. I'm dictating at this point. I'm still Dad. To the degree that Dad ever had any authority at all. But I can teach her how to fly so that when she does ever start paying for lessons, it'll go much, much more quickly and she'll get it in the minimum hours. She just wouldn't be able to log anything that I teach her.
Well, and good when we're in the air. It's when we're taking off and landing that I'm not that good at.
Yeah, because I wouldn't let you do that, but and I probably still wouldn't. I'd probably save that for the instructor to teach you. But you'd be able to do it in this airplane, so you'd be comfortable with all the avionics and how it flies. And we'll probably do it like a mini. We're just sightseeing this morning, but on the way back, maybe we'll do a mini flying lesson, and she can fly back a little bit. She can fly over in this seat, and I'll teach her which buttons to push. The one with the D with the arrow through it will take us home, kind of thing. And then you can either learn to use the autopilot first, or you can hand fly it, whatever you want to do. I don't think it's going to be bumpy today. It's a nice, cool day. I don't think there's going to be a lot of convective activity, so it'll be a nice, easy ride. So we'll do that a little bit later. For now, we're going to turn off the camera and just kind of ride along a little bit.
We're at the outer mark.
So we're under a little bit of cloud here. I hope it's 500 feet. It's hard to tell. But the nice thing about it is it gives you a nice sense of motion that you don't get from the ground as you're closer to it. I think that's 500. We have to be 500 feet under them, which I think we are. It's hard to measure without going up and finding out, but then you're not 500 feet under them if you go up and find out.
That cloud looks shady.
He has a, kind of got a dark personality, doesn't he? Well, as long as he doesn't get angry, they can be pretty thunderous. Okay, that's enough of that. It's Pun Day. Friday, Saturday is Pun Day.
It's always Pun Day.
It's always Pun Day. Every day is Pun Day. Oh, well.
Waynesville traffic, yellow check.
So I mentioned that Erica Egg, co-pilot Egg, has been flying since she was a wee bitty. And she flew a lot with me in the Tampico, which is a 4-seater, but very, very slow. Actually, at top speed, it would do what we're doing right now, which is 97 knots, but that's because we have a headwind. And the Tampico, I flew around about 99% of the time with 3 empty seats, and it was the type of airplane that's so easy to fly that you can get complacent in it, and I found that happening. And a combination of things decided me that now that we had the internet, I could answer some of the questions I'd always had about home-built airplanes, like RV4s and such forth. And as it turns out, you can maintain them yourself. You can get insurance on them. And I thought, well, I'm going to trade in this Tampico and get an RV4. To which Erica had a great deal of opposition because she didn't want to ride in the back seat. And as it turned out, I didn't have a tailwheel endorsement, and the CFI didn't want to ride in the back seat either while he was trying to teach me to land a tail dragger. Well, that's the wrong word. You don't teach somebody how to land a tail dragger. You fly with them to catch the airplane before they wreck it, while they teach themselves to fly a tail dragger. So we ended up with an RV6, and I thought it would be nice to have it. Since it looked like a fighter, it was painted like a fighter. It had the stars and bars and everything. So I put our names on the canopy sill. So I was pilot, and Erica became, I think I had it quotes, Erica Egg, co-pilot Erica Egg Gamble.
Yeah.
And that came in handy one day because one of the things about the RV6 is that the cowls were hard to get on and off alone, and I needed help, and I needed to take them off to change the oil. I was going back out to put the cowls on, and I needed her help, and she didn't want to go, and she refused to go. And that made me angry, which was easy to do when Erica was younger, which maybe a little mix of me and a little mix of her. But I drove out to the hangar in a bit of a snit, and then I called home and I said, tell her I'm getting ready to take her name off of the canopy because she's not going to help me. So she came out, Mommy brought her out in tears. No, don't take my name off the canopy. I'll help you, which was a somewhat cruel form of extortion.
I don't remember that at all.
I remember it quite clearly. It was,
repressed the memory.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things you probably don't remember. You probably don't remember, we were in a rental club and we rented a 172. It was me and the wife and Erica, the lap baby, and 2 dogs. And we landed out at Stark County Airport and pouring out of that airplane like the clown car at the circus. Just dogs and people just pouring out of that little 172.
Remember the time, I forget where we went, but there was like a military plane show.
Yeah. We went up to Burke Lakefront, and the RV-6 was painted like a military plane, and they were having some kind of air show. And he started I was going to park in front of the terminal. He started guiding me over, and I'm just getting ready to go behind this wall, or the chain link fence, or, whatever temporary fence they had set up. And I stopped and shut the engine down. I said, am I going to be able to get back out of here? And the guy says, well, you're here to exhibit, right? I said, no. This isn't a military plane. This looks like one. That was funny. Actually, another put-in-base or Burke Lakefront story. Erica, since a little child, even in Tampico, we used to do what I'd call
Patty Wagstaff.
Patty Wagstaff, yeah. We'd climb the plane up a little bit, push it over just lightly so you get a little bit of, not 0 G, but less than 1 G. And she called that, Patty Wagstaff. And we were up at Burke Lakefront. They have a nice terminal there. And in the terminal, they have a small museum, Women in Aviation Museum. And they had this enclosed display case with Patty Wagstaff's flight suit in it from when she won the National Aerobatic Championship. So I asked Erica, stand next to that and I'll get a nice picture of you in Patty Wagstaff's flight suit. So the picture I found on the camera when I got home was some kind of goofy face like this. And I was so mad at her because that was a nice picture. I said, Erica, I'm going to frame that. And I'm someday going to meet Patty Wagstaff, and I'm going to have her autograph this picture just to get even with you. I'm going to have her write Good Luck in Clown College. So fast forward to the Mustang fly-in at Columbus. They had, 10, 12 years ago. All the P-51s in the world came to Rickenbacker Air Force Base, and I couldn't go because that was the weekend that our office was moving, and being the IT guy, I had to move all the computers. But I did get to go. I knew a guy named Arnett Howard, who was a local musician. He used to be Arnett Howard in the Creole Funk Band until they got in tax trouble and had to break up the band. So I started calling him the Creole Defunct Band. But Arnett knew Patty Wagstaff, and he said, well, come on out on Friday. I'm going to go out and meet her, and I'll introduce you. So I brought that picture out there, and I got it autographed. And I think it says something like, let's go flying, or, Patty Wagstaff. She did a really nice job of it, but she got a laugh. She really got a kick out of that picture.
It's hanging in her house.
It is. I actually had a Patty Wagstaff autographed hat, but I think I left it on the bus in Chicago.
Oh.
We were going, this is a long story, but we used to eat a lot of, we'd get frozen egg rolls and such forth, and the thing that was always disappointing wasn't really the egg roll, is that you couldn't get mustard, that hot, spicy Chinese mustard that goes all the way up through your sinuses. You just couldn't get that stuff. You'd get it in the grocery store, and it was just totally mild. It just had no real kick to it at all. I just couldn't find it anywhere. Well, we were in Chicago, and Chicago has a Chinatown. This was me and my wife. We wanted to go down to, I wanted to go down to Chinatown and see if I couldn't find some of that mustard. But the problem is, Chinatown is very, very Chinese. And by that I mean, they don't speak a lot of English. Either they're French and they pretend not to be able to speak English, or they just don't speak English. So we walked into a Chinese grocery store, actually walked into a number of them, and got past all the weird things like frog legs and chicken heads and all those weird parts of the animal that they eat. Or I don't know what they do, maybe voodoo, I don't know what they do with them. I'm not being racist, I just don't know. So I'm walking down the shelf, shelves, and it looks like, well, here's condiments, and here's what looks like if there was mustard, here it would be, but nothing there. And of course I go to the grocer, and he absolutely didn't know what I was talking about. So I came up with this brilliant plan. The waitresses in the restaurants in Chinatown can speak some English, because that's where people go when they go to Chinatown. They go to the restaurants. So my plan was to go order some crab rangoon, and when they brought it out, I would point at the mustard and ask the waitress to write me a note to the grocer in Chinese sell him some of this mustard. So I asked the waitress, could you tell me where to get this mustard? Now, again, I'm not being racist, but I have to do the accent because it doesn't make sense without the accent. She says, oh, mustard with egg roll. That American thing. We buy it at Costco. so my years-long search, it ended up all I had to do was go to Costco and get the big jar of dried mustard and mix a little water in it. And so I had my Chinese mustard. So that is kind of a flying story because the way I found out that there's a Chinatown in Chicago is I flew up to visit a friend, and they picked us up in Gary. I didn't land in Chicago, I landed in Gary, and they picked us up there. And she says, what do you want to do? And she says, if you want to, we can ride the river boats down to Chinatown. And I said, oh, you have a Chinatown? And then I said, oh, you have rivers? Because I'd never really been to Chicago. But it was really neat. I mean, to them, it's just public transportation. It's the same as riding a bus. It was like 75 cents. You get on the riverboat, you ride down to Chinatown. They have a nice dock with a big pagoda, and it's just right there. It was one of the coolest things ever. But I remembered that, so when we went back, I said, well, this is my big chance to get Chinese mustard. Clouds are getting lower. We're going to have to go a little bit higher, so I'm going to climb up another 1,000 feet, and we'll talk to you guys later. Well, the clouds kind of got in our way, so we're another 1,000 feet up. But they're widely scattered, so it's not like the trip I had from Urbana where I was very thankful that I didn't go over the clouds. These are really widely scattered and should be a problem. Okay, well, we got knocked offline again. Don't know what you saw, what you heard. Got to do it all over again. Anyway, clouds kind of got in our way. So we're 1,000 feet higher. We're above the clouds now. And they're very attractive today. Let's get some video. There we go. With the sun shining on the top of them, gives them kind of a very, very neat look. And as I was saying before the video clip before, they're very, very widely scattered, so we're not worried about being on top of them. It's not like that situation where I was coming back from Urbana, and if I had gotten on top of them, I would have had a great deal of difficulty getting back down through them. These are very widely scattered up towards the north where we're headed, so it should be a problem. And this concludes our update.
Whiskey Sierra departing off 27, and we'll be departing to the north.
Oh, you guys just missed the cutest radio call. It was a woman pilot, which is always fun, and I mean that in a good way. She's landing at Mount Victory, Elliott's Landing. There's a grass runway there. It's owned by it's kind of a restaurant and truck stop right there. Have their own runway. You just land, you walk right into the restaurant, and they have very good pie. And her call was she was 5 miles south of Elliott's Landing, inbound for pie. Which reminds me of this woman long ago. She flew and instructed well into her 80s, and you could always hear her. She flew a lot, so you heard her a lot, and she was so good, so interesting on the radio. Because as you know, I monitor Unicom. If I'm going anywhere, I try to arrive well informed. So I heard this woman. The first call was Urbana Grimes traffic, Cherokee, whatever, 20 miles north, inbound landing. And then it was 15 miles north. Then it was 5 miles north. And I wanted to key the mic and say, are you going to get some pie? It's not cool if nobody can hear it.
2184 Charlie is 4,000.
So what grade were you in?
Third.
So when Erica was in the 3rd grade, I was asked to come do a presentation to her class on the subject of, I guess, just flying. So I built up a nice little slide deck introducing general aviation with a nice picture of a general saluting and everything. No, not that kind of general. So I gave him a presentation. I mentioned that I fly up to the islands and I'd bring my dog and yada, yada, yada. And then I opened the floor for questions. And Erica was going to share one of the questions that I received.
One of the kids, he was like, what do you do if your dog has to pee? And then, I don't know, 3rd graders are so cute. And
So what was my answer?
he just holds it.
Just like me. He just holds it. But yeah, the dog, Hogarth, his name was Hogarth, and he was a big Husky Shepherd mix, and he rode in the back seat of the Tampico. He was too big for the RV6. But he liked to go up to Kelley's Island, and we would walk the island, and Kelley's isn't like Put-in Bay. It's not where you don't rent golf carts, and there's not taxis and buses and all kinds of stuff. It's just very, very laid back, very quiet. And I was walking the dog, and a woman in a car pulled over and asked if we'd like a ride back to, she said, do you want a ride? And I said, no, actually, we come up here to walk. And she said, that's funny, I come up here not to. so different strokes, I guess. Good times.
Have you brought Cassie flying?
No, I don't.
I don't trust with the stick.
On the RV6, I was able to take out the stick on the right side if either panicky people or pets were flying over there.
Yeah.
The sticks on the RV12 don't come out, and I could let her ride in the back, but I'm not sure how I would get her back there.
Yeah, she wouldn't like that.
Well, she'd stay back there, but she'd spend the whole time licking my ear, so so Cassie hasn't flown, and probably won't.
Elliot's landing.
Oh, that's the lady going to pie. So we're 17 minutes out from the island, although we're not going to directly land. We'll take a lap around Putin Bay and hang the camera out the window, because it's a pretty island. Now have a string of clouds. This is the difference. When you get up to the lake, everything changes from the water and the different temperature variations and lapse rates and all that. So we have clouds at our altitude again, but the ones that were at our altitude before are kind of petering off. So we're going to descend now. We're going to go down to about, back down to 3,500 feet. And start our descent into the lake area. Probably can't see it yet. I can see the Sandusky Bay, and the lake is beyond that. I can see it, but it's kind of hazy. So we'll be down low here in a bit, going around Putin Bay, which I believe is South Bass Island, something like that. Anyway, talk to you in a bit.
Was it still on?
Yeah, it's just turned it on because I just remembered it's Pun Day, and I want to tell. Erica used to go to Oshkosh with me. I would go to the air show, and she would work in one of the exhibit barns working for, I think it was Girls with Wings.
Yeah.
She would work the booth. And Erica wasn't, I wouldn't say, well, she's kind of a picky eater, but in a strange way. When she was a kid, she was a picky eater that would eat black olives and Caesar salad, things like that. So she acquired a taste for cheese curds, or what they call squeaky cheese. Just little lumps of cheese that they're so fresh that they squeak when you chew on them. And we didn't stay in Oshkosh. We stayed in West Bend. It's less crowded. And we stayed in the Hampton Inn right next to a Walmart. And we were coming back from the show one day, and she wanted to go to the Walmart and get some cheese curds. So we had a big plastic bag of cheese curds, and she wanted some on the way back to the room. We were walking back to the room and couldn't tear open the bag. And she said, well, what are we going to do? How in the world are we going to get out those cheese curds? Do you remember what I said?
I don't want to say it out loud.
I said, Erica, where there's a curd, there's a way.
It's one of your top 5 puns.
I love that one. That's my second worst pun ever.
What's the first one, the bear one?
Yeah, that was down in Parkersburg Airport. They had this big wooden bear. It had been carved out with a chainsaw. And the guy that carved it out, I don't know if you didn't age the wood appropriately, but the thing had a big crack right down the middle of the bear. And I was down there with my friend Rick, and the bear was kind of posed like this, had his hand up, and it was in the terminal, so I guess, waving. And I said, hey, Rick, you know why that bear is waving? He says, no, why? He says, because he's got a split. You have to know early, so that's got hippie lingo. Hey, I'm going to split, man.
Those are your top 2 worst puns.
Yep, well, the other thing, were you there? We were at that restaurant sitting out on the patio, and Kyle was there, and I can't remember if you were or not. You must have been. And we're sitting there out on the patio, and there's this river running by. And somebody said, what's that river? And I said, I think it's the Milwaukee River. And this woman sitting at a table behind us, she says, well, I don't think so. Milwaukee's very east of here. I said, well, I don't know, but I mean, I'm thinking maybe the river took a bend to the west, i.e. West Bend. She says, I've never thought of that. I'll bet you're right. Oshkosh memories.
Yeah, I was there. We went there every year.
Yeah, I think you were there. I'm sure you were there because I didn't go without you. So yeah, that's why West Bend is named West Bend. Milwaukee River takes a bend to the west, which I've never looked up, but I do believe to be true. So here we go. We're almost to the water. I'm going to turn this off for a little bit. Another interesting Unicom call. Guy that just reported left downwind to Napoleon. And I remember that runway because it's very short.
Oh.
Okay, we're about ready to get over the water here. We're flying along over the Sandusky Bay, and out my window, I saw the shadow of an airplane on a convergent course with us, but I couldn't see the airplane anywhere until there he is over there.
Yeah, I see him.
And so I glanced down, and he's down low, maybe 200 feet over the water, and it was a B-25 bomber. and I couldn't get the cell phone camera lit up soon enough to get video of it, but that was just the coolest darn thing. I'm glad he wasn't at our altitude though, because I had trouble seeing him. So we're over Fort Clinton right now. We're headed out the couple few miles to take us around Kelley's Island, or Britain Bay, South Pass Island, I think. I always get corrected on that. And I'll go ahead and take a lap around the island and get some video of it because it's really scenic. I did that once in the winter when the lake was frozen and it was really, really neat. Today it's all going to be greens and blues, which is also very, very nice. So we got about 5 more minutes for that. So turn it back on in a sec. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this on for now. Until we land, it'll be on. Okay, autopilot is flying, so I'm photographing. Autopilot's doing a wonderful job.
Oh, my ears are popping so bad.
You know how to plug your nose and blow against it? That'll help you pop them sometimes. If it doesn't blow them completely out.
Yeah. Watch this come off the piercing.
And that's Kelley's over there. That Kelley's from a distance. That's the island we're actually going to land on. We're just going to fly around Britain Bay because, as I said before, it'll just be crazy up here today. They actually had to build a whole other parking ramp south of the terminal building because they had already had a pretty big ramp full of 20 or 30 airplanes, but it wasn't enough. Ooh, a lot of sailboats out there too, out by that other little island. If they're having some kind of regatta. And because we can do it at 102 knots, we can fly up there and find out. It won't take us any time at all.
The lake doesn't look very deep, but I know it is.
No, it's not. It's actually, the reason it's so rough is that it's so shallow. They get a whole lot of really big waves because it's so shallow. So it's a very dangerous lake. I mean, Edmund Fitzgerald and all that.
I don't even know what lake this one is.
This is Erie.
Okay, that's what I thought. Not very good at geography.
Don't know much about arithmetic.
I'm really good at math and science, but like...
That's a song. I think geography was the next thing they said.
really bad at geography.
There's a little fishy boat. And there's the airport we're not landing at. And there are some planes, but it's not as crowded as I would have guessed, although it is still fairly early in the morning. It's about 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock?
Oh, it feels like it's like 2:30.
I don't know, I was asking you. Oh, it's 10 o'clock, okay. So we got our answer.
I have no concept of time.
So there's the island, there's the William Perry, I believe it is, monument. There's an admiral. There's a lot of fighting up here during the War of 1812. We got to go down a little bit.
Oh, we're going to that cloud.
Yeah, we got to go down a little bit. There we go. We got to go down under, we can't go through that. So we're going to track on over the island a little bit too to get out of that cloud that we're about to run into.
Oh, God.
It's the autopilot, honey. The autopilot knows what to do.
I trust you more than I trust the autopilot.
Well, trust me because I trust the autopilot. Trust in my trust in the autopilot. Or you can learn how to fly, at least enough to hold the stick while I do this kind of thing. There's the cloud. We did miss it, so it's still legal. Now we can track on up a little bit more here and get a look at the monument. Anyway, there was a lot of fighting here, naval fighting during the War of 1812. And apparently this Admiral Perry, if I have that right, won some gigantic victory up here. And beat the British again. When will they learn, those British? They cannot beat us. And there's Britain Bay itself. And you can see all the boats. This is the season for the boats. In the winter, they all go home. And there's that other little set of boats out there on whatever little island that is. Apparently you can only get to by boat. Now there's the monument. Let's get close up to the monument. And then this island is Middle Bass. This is where the Lon's Winery is, where tragically a balcony collapsed one day and about 6 people died. It was very unfortunate. But it's a pretty neat place. There's a lot of wine up here. This is where Ohio vineyards, there are a lot of Ohio vineyards, and this is one of the predominant places you'll find them. I guess the environment and everything is really good for the grapes and such. I don't know if you can read the winery that's on there because I can't hold the camera still enough. And image stabilization will take care of some of that. But there we go. So now we go on over to Kelley's. And you'll have to, actually, if you want to, you can video, but now I need to fly. Can't get that island down there. Turn it on.
It is on.
Oh, yes it is. I shouldn't second guess the millennials. They know how to do this kind of thing. Okay, well, we go to Kelley's. We have to be quick so we don't run into Canada. It's very easy to get to Canada from here. Kelley Island, which is the next island up, is Canada. So you can see the line right there. That's Canada right there.
I can fly to Canada.
So we have to turn around before we get to Canada because, well, you know, they'd send the Canadian Air Force after us and they'd help us with donuts.
Canada has an Air Force?
Sure they do. I'm just being facetious. Yeah, they do have a very good Air Force.
Oh. They've never been in any wars. I don't know.
Well, they've helped us.
A little bit.
On a high final runway 27, full stop deployed.
Okay. Now we'll fly left downwind to 27.
Altitude.
Okay, so we're about 5 miles north. Kelley's is a little bit easier to get into. It's not nearly as popular. Let's see what the pattern altitude is. Map. Info. 1600. Yeah, I was close. Right at 1700, so it's actually 1600. Oh, I got to learn how to fly again. I was on the autopilot the whole way up here. Not sure I remember how to fly this thing.
Oh, God, don't say that.
Oh, that's nice looking over there. Off towards Port Clinton, too. The boats. I like the shadows, the cloud shadows on the water.
Yeah.
Now in Florida, where the water's real clear, that would just be, you know, growth on the seabed. That would be like seaweed making it look like that. Here it's the shadows. Well, in Florida, you get the shadows also, of course. But. Okay, I haven't landed at Kelley's Island in a long time. 2,200 foot runway, so it's plenty. I think it's kind of bumpy, though.
It is very bumpy right now.
No, I meant the runway.
Oh, that too.
There's a big cargo ship out there, like Edmund Fitzgerald type ship. You won't be able to see it, I don't think. It's like a little sliver.
I can't even see it now.
Probably coming into Port Clinton, or Cleveland maybe, coming out of, or maybe going out to the Great Lake. I don't know. Coming from Cleveland. Who knows? Not me. Get some of the water when it's like this.
Oh.
Just off to the left. Sorry. Let's see, where are the glacial grooves? There's the park, so that's where we're going to walk to. That's actually a quarry. I'm not sure where the glaciers are. I have a map to it, so we're not wandering around all day looking for it, but I'm not sure where they are from the air. I don't think that quarry is it. There's the airport, so the park is right there, so they're going to be right in there somewhere, probably hidden in the trees.
Oh, I see the ship now.
That's a nice quarry. Big hole in the ground there.
Oh, it's so pretty. Can we swim in it?
I doubt it.
Damn. I mean,
I think that's a ferry boat leaving.
so clear.
That's a gorgeous day. Kelley's Island traffic, it's been on 284 Metro Golf, entering left downwind runway 27, Kelley's Island. This is nothing like South Bass, Putin Bay. Looks like they cut down a bunch of trees and replanted them. There's the 2 restaurants. The downtown area, such as it is. There's the marina.
Traffic.
That's us. False alarm.
Not very good at videos.
It's okay.
Bumpy plane.
Well, it's going to settle, but it'll do some of it by itself anyway. The image stabilization will help. But we got the GoPro looking out at the big cargo ship, which probably YouTube friends can't quite see, but...
Oh, I got
All right, flaps are coming down. I don't know if you remember in this airplane, it makes the nose bump down like that. Sometimes make people a little nervous. There we go. Like those little streaks in the water.
Yeah.
neat. There's a big barge parked right off the end of the runway. Oh, it's not a tugboat or some kind of boat on a pier right off the end of the runway. That's neat. Go right on by him.
Altitude.
Okay, left base coming soon to an airport near you. Kelley down, so that's off left base 27. Nobody else here? Good. Don't have to share the airspace. Like this house, look, a big old thing.
I know.
Looks like it has a stable or something attached to it.
Good.
I don't know what that is. Big place. Right on the water.
Right on the airport.
Oh, that too. There used to be a north-south runway. The pavement is still there. And down at the end of it, which would be the end of runway 36, there used to be a bed and breakfast. I always thought would be neat to stay at. Oh, looks like they repainted the numbers. They were really kind of worn out last time I was here. The information text says they're hand-painted and non-standard, but all that aside, they're nice and bright and easy to see. Now, get those birds out of the way and we'll be just fine. Gulls flying across. Boy, he's got it made. He's got a boat right in the front yard, right out into the lake. Look at that. That's pretty nifty. Wow, there's an interesting gust.
I was playing in his driveway.
Land short, get wet.
What
That's better than West Virginia. Land short, get flattened against the face of a cliff.
Oh, that was smooth.
Oh, I'm good at this one. This is no RV6. I can land this one. Oh, I'm left of the center line again. So the YouTube commenter that asked if I was incapable of landing in the center line, I'm going to change my answer. That answer is yes, I am incapable. I told him I would try to do it next time. I forgot. Oh, well.
Okay. Oh God, it's hot. This tiny little airport.
Yep, I brought cash this time. You're supposed to leave, I don't know, it'll be $8 or $12. It's always some odd number that you don't carry the small bills for. So I have a couple fives and some singles to make sure we have the exact denomination. Oh, darn, there's the bus, and we're not ready. I thought he was waving, but he's just putting his hand up to block the sun. That's so embarrassing. Waving at somebody that's not waving at me. It's like, what's the matter with that guy? Is he asking for help? That's a kind of scary-looking little airplane. There's no telling. Well, no shortage of parking spots today.
Where does the bus take us?
Well, it'd probably go downtown. I have no way of knowing. I didn't even know they had a bus. When I was looking at public transportation on Kelley's Island, I found nothing. So a bus is some kind of secret. There you found a perfect parking spot. I didn't park perfectly straight though, and because, there we go. All right, I'm gonna shut this off. So this is the walking along video. Hello everybody, now we're walking. It's still pun day, so stay tuned.
No, because Sam, my work friend.
Just some of the foliage as we go by. It's all grown up. All grown up for the summer. It's very quiet here. Put-in Bay is all golf carts and kids and cars and trucks. And you get the golf carts here, but not nearly as much. And they don't seem to be in such a hurry because they're not renters, golf cart rentals. People love driving golf carts crazy. And I know that because I'm a person and I love driving a golf cart crazy. No wait, I like driving a golf cart crazily. I don't drive them crazy. That's people, I drive people crazy. But golf carts, anyway.
I can drive a physical car, but like I get behind a golf cart and I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
I don't know if you remember this. We rented a golf cart on Put-in Bay once, and you were maybe 5, and you were fascinated with golf carts, always wanted one. So I was letting you drive it. You're sitting on my lap and drive it. And we actually got pulled over by a Put-in Bay policeman and says, you can't let her do that. And you know, I was like, well, you don't know how stubborn she is. I don't really have much of a choice, but that was not illegal defense, as it turns out. You actually are not allowed to do that, so we had to put you back, and I was driving. Yeah. Oh, well, what time does Wheel of Fortune come on?
This is a gift and snack shop. So Kelley's doesn't have the same kind of commerce and such as Put-in Bay. We do have this little shop. Interesting things. Sweatshirts. Lots of little gifties. Alcohol may not solve your problems, but neither will water or milk. I'm not so sure about that. I think water would help a problem if I was, say, in a desert. Ooh, that's a nice jacket. Ooh, where do you want to bet that's expensive? I can't afford that. This is 50% off.
For all the donations and all the help that this community
is a little gift shop at Kelley's Island. Gift / snack shop.
And thanks a lot for it.
Well, thank you guys for letting us be a part of this. I'll let them real quick. If people didn't make it out here today, how can they donate?
Is it? Did you say it's not Pun Day? Okay, but I want it to be Pun Day because look how crowded this cemetery is. People are dying to get in. Man, I was just joking, but it really is pretty crowded. I mean, I get that they're literally dying to get in. That's a really old, bad joke. It really is pretty crowded. Somebody's been here a long, long time. Here's a guy from 1854. William D. Kelley. Oh, Kelley. Kelley's Island. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
The Kelley himself.
It may be one of the original Kelleys of Kelley's Island in 1854. This would not have been, there would not have been a lot of people here, I don't think. Here's some, look at the mold. The mold on those things. That can be removed. 1828, 1825. I think the stone is newer than that. There's one that got knocked over. I don't know if it got knocked over or fell over because the thing in the base is kind of crooked. You're not gonna be able to pick that up. That's granite. You can't put, don't even touch it. You get arrested. This one needs a pressure washer.
Where did it even fall from? Oh.
It fell off of that plinth there.
Oh, I was gonna
And I
say
think
that's
it's sitting lopsided, so it may have just fallen off. I don't know if anybody would push it off, but you do get that weird thing about people vandalizing graveyards. I've never understood that. But you do get that. But I don't think that's what happened here. I think this one may be the oldest one of them all. It's made out of a softer stone than granite, so it's worn away. It's been broken and put back together again. Died 1877, so it's probably not the oldest, but this is another one that looks pretty old. Charles B. Wells, 1828 to 1876. So actually after War of 1812, so it's not that old. Oh, neat little cemetery. If I wanted to be buried, which I don't, this would be the place to do it. So the thing about traveling with a Chihuahua and camping with a Chihuahua is they can have their own hammock, which is pretty neat. Here it is, the Glacial Grooves Geological Preserve. I'm suddenly not surprised that we couldn't see this from the air. It's not, from the air it would look very, very small, because from here it looks relatively small. And it's hidden down inside these trees, which is why we couldn't see it. But these are grooves left by the glaciers that came barreling through here at a ungodly pace of a mile every millennium, or ever how slow they went. Interesting thing is, I think the glaciers are a mix of ice and rock, which tells me that this all used to be under ice. So, you know, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but climate does change. So we took a taxi downtown, and now we know why it's so busy here. It's some kind of poker run, something, or Make-A-Wish. So a lot more people than usual, a lot more crowded. We're going to see if we can maybe find a restaurant that we can fit into. that explains the crowds. And we didn't walk the couple miles down here. We took the island taxi, which is pretty expensive at $10, but saved a couple miles walking. So now we're back down here by the marina. We're down here where the ferry boat lands, and right on the lake. This is the touristy part of the general store. And there's one in particular that caught my eye, and it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. It was that one. So this is the main drag out of town heading back towards the east in the airport. This is right up on the edge of the lake. And lots of golf carts going by. I found a gap in the traffic. The smell of those things is just hideous. But it's a good way of getting around on an island. The only other way is the way we're doing it, which is walking, which is not that great. This is how mere mortals get to the island. Not at all like flying up. I mean, I get that it's an island, but the marina is a lot more sophisticated than the airport. This is only one of the marinas. But, you know, as comparison, we had to walk. We didn't have anything like this. We had to walk. Ah, here we go.
Turn left onto Havenwood Lane.
Yeah, now you talk. She got us completely lost with her inattention, and now she's telling us to turn left, so good. Well, this seems to be the trail. It looks like more of a bee trail, betrayed by my GPS. I'm going to stay in here and make sure she gets through without falling into some kind of trap or eaten by a bear. So do you want me to go first?
No. Okay, be careful because it like sits
Ha!
down here.
Get it? I'm stumped. Oh yeah, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Glad I didn't wear shorts.
Thanks. Watch out. It seriously dumps down here.
Seriously steep down here, so be careful. Okay, got it. I'm just getting, I'm waiting for the $1 million video fall. Okay, time to turn this off and navigate. Ta-da! We made it! We made it! The adventure continues. Ta-da! Alright, well now it's just back to a drudging walk. A begrudged drudge. She's not happy about my navigational skills. I found an island in the middle of Lake Erie, but I can't find the airport. Very funny.
There's the taxi down the runway.
Oh yeah, it's called back taxi. We're gonna go down there, we're gonna turn around, and we're gonna take off right into that area right there.
There it goes. Alright, so here we are back in the airplane after a 6-mile walk, 6.2. Walk around the island. Everybody's hot and tired. Airplane is nice and hot, and by that I mean it's awkwardly, terribly uncomfortable in here right now.
6.4 miles.
6.4 miles, okay. That's more than I've walked in the last 6.4 months. Alright, so get the trim set. I got the direct to Bolton set. We're going to sit here for a minute. Actually, there's a spot at the end of the runway where I can sit and wait for the oil to warm up, or we can do it here. I'd like to get some air into this thing.
We're going to go all the way down there anyway.
Yeah, we got to go all the way down there anyway. So we're taxiing on down there. It's not very busy here today. Okay, that was a good day. It was just a lot of walking, a lot of neat stuff to see, which if I made this video correctly, you've already seen. There was a little moment of fright when the sky view wouldn't come up, but I figured I could find my way home, and daughter Erica, because it's Monday, said she's sure I could wing it. Needs to keep her day job.
I don't work days.
Oh no, keep your night job. Okay, let's take a look and make sure somebody's not trying to come in here before we back taxi. There's nobody around. Kelley's Island traffic, back taxi to 27 for departure. In case anybody shows up. Kind of a wavy runway, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I'd rather take off towards the water. I guess either way, you're taking off towards something inhospitable here. A little bit of clear area behind us, and then trees, and then water here. On Middle Bass, they have one that has a big brick or a big stone wall at the end. You definitely want to get off the runway before you get to that.
I'd rather crash into trees than ocean.
I'd really, well, yeah, rather not even think about it, but that's just me. They say this is hand painted and it's not standard, but it sure looks good. I mean, it'll say that on here somewhere. I think they have the information on here. Map, info. That's Bolton, we don't want that. 89 Delta. What does it say? Remarks. Here on in vicinity of airport. Non-standard markings, paint roller size and done by hand, markings faded. I think that's got to be obsolete because these markings are by no means faded.
Yeah.
And they look pretty darn standard to me, but I can't measure them, but they look pretty good to me. Somebody did a good job. So how are we doing on the temps? We're still at 94, so we're going to be sitting here in the sun for a little bit. Turn this off. Look at here's a little look at the lake for you while we're waiting for the oil to heat up. And then here's a guy that has a pretty nice place to live. He's got a boat. He's got 2 boats out there, and then he's got an airplane here in his driveway and a hangar with 2 golf carts in it, and what's looks like maybe a kayak. Pretty cool setup. So we're within 15 degrees on the oil, so it won't be long. Gonna go ahead and do a mini run up, which is just a mag check. Make sure everything is still working. Yep, that's about good. Canopy is latched. Everything's all set. Trim is takeoff. Well, actually, let's take a little nose down. There we go. That's takeoff trim. Getting a little bit of breeze through the little doors here. 8 more degrees. 7 more. That's coming up pretty fast. All right. All settled in, snapped in. Canopy is shut. There we go. Wind's kicking the tail around. I don't know what the wind is, but it's here on the water, a little bit gusty. It felt pretty light on the runway, and it's right down the runway, so I can see the windsock from here. It's right down the runway. Okay, that's 118. That's going to be enough, because by the time I get everything done, it'll be 120. We're all set with nav. We're going to go to 3,500 feet. I don't know that I can get an altimeter setting from here. Map, info. I cannot. But it is 598 feet is the standard altitude, so let's put this on 598. There we go, there's your altimeter setting. Okay, and we've got the oil, so we are ready to go. Kelly's Island traffic, 284, Delta Golf departing runway 27, Kelly's Island. Nobody here to listen. We're going to use all of the runway. Every bit of it, we don't need it, but better safe than sorry. Or as they said on before they went in the river, better safe than sully.
Oh my God.
Oh, come on. That's quality humor there. Pedestrians at the end of the runway sightseeing, about to get a face full of airplane. There we go.
They're all stopped too.
I'm not doing that. That's the...
No, I'm saying they're all stopped.
Oh. I thought you said stop doing that. That's not me doing that. You recording?
Oh.
You ought to be. There's that quarry. And now off to your right is going to be that downtown area. Once I get the wing back down. There you go. There's downtown. Look at all the boats. Wow. Jam pack. Direct 2. Now we're going to climb up high. Autopilot, nav, altitude and up. There we go. We'll get out of the top. And we don't need 600 foot per minute. We're not in any hurry. There we go. Alrighty. Well, it's been a long, bumpy ride, but we're now 10 miles out from the airport. Have it in sight, starting our descent. It's been bumpy the whole way.
Leaving altitude.
Old Tower Experimental 284 Delta Golf, 8 miles north of down landing.
Experimental 284 Delta Golf, Bolton Tower from the north, enter right base runway 22, report 2 miles out. Wind is 260 at 09er, gust 15, altimeter 3010.
Enter right base runway 22, report 2 miles out for Delta Golf. Not so very smooth, is it?
No.
Good thing you didn't finish that bacon.
I'm holding on.
Well, we got like 2 minutes to go.
I'm fine.
I figured. Something you haven't done before. Full power for Delta Golf, 2 mile right base, runway 22.
Experimental 4 Delta Golf, runway 22, clear to land.
Still in runway 22, 4 Delta Golf. The wind is all over the place. Airspeed's up, airspeed's down, airspeed's up, airspeed's down, and here come the flaps. Ugh.
You know, it's weird. Like, look at someone with like maggots in their head, which we actually had a couple days ago, and I don't throw up at all. But it's a little bumpy in the plane, and I feel like I want to throw up.
You get that from your mother. She gets motion sickness. It's different when you're not controlling, too. If I was riding, it would be a lot worse for me. But if I'm controlling, I can kind of feel when things are, you know,
Yeah.
it's just a completely different feeling. I don't like riding in cars. I don't mind driving them. I get slowed down a little bit here. That's better. Crosswind. Oh, I got to try to land on the center line for my YouTube guy.
Oh, good, the video's on. So now everyone just heard me talk about lady with maggots in the head.
Yes, well. Oh, little gust there.
Oh, it's gonna be bumpy.
Nothing bumpy about that landing.
Nah, not that bad.
Right out for 3. Park straight ahead, monitor ground 48.